No one's challenging Ocon for the win now.
Yeah, unfortunate incident. Unfortunately, we had to retire the car, and yeah.
Now he can race full blast down towards turn 1. There's nobody behind him, and through he goes.
It's a rainy afternoon in Budapest. A sea of umbrellas cloaks the grandstands, and the Hungarian circuit glistens with treacherous moisture. In the paddock, mechanics scramble and strategists fret. No one can predict the chaos about to unfold.
Yeah, straight. Yeah, copy loose, box.
Amid the tension, a 24-year-old driver quietly readies himself in the cockpit of a blue Alpine car. Few in the world expect him to be the hero today, but in the next 2 hours, this young underdog will seize a shocking triumph that no one saw coming. Humble beginnings and big dreams. Esteban Ocon's journey to this moment began far from the spotlight. Born to a modest family in Normandy, France, Ocon grew up with racing in his blood and humility in his lifestyle. His parents literally bet the house on their son's talent, selling their home and family business to finance Esteban's karting dreams. With no house to return to, the Ocon family lived in a caravan, traveling from race to race. Esteban would finish a weekend of karting, then sleep in that tiny trailer parked outside his school, waking up to the morning bell for class. He was just 11 or 12, doing homework in a camper one day and battling for karting trophies the next. It hasn't been easy. A lot of sacrifices were done for me to keep racing. We were living in a caravan for a long time, Ocon later recalled. Yet, in that cramped caravan, a big dream was growing. The boy was happy just to race, idolizing Formula One legends and imagining he might one day join them. Those humble origins forged Ocon's grit. By his late teens, he was turning heads on the junior racing circuit. In 2014, he famously beat a rising star named Max Verstappen to win the European Formula 3 title. It seemed a golden future awaited the hardworking kid from Évreux. In 2016, Esteban made it to Formula One, debuting in the backmarker Manor team mid-season. By 2017, he had a full-time drive with Force India, a pink car, and a permanent smile as he fought wheel-to-wheel with far more experienced drivers. The underdog from the caravan was now mixing it with the big dogs of F1, and holding his own. Setback and sacrifice, losing it all. By the end of 2018, Ocon was a rising talent driving for Force India, consistently matching and sometimes outperforming his more experienced teammate Sergio Perez. He was even touted as a future Mercedes driver, backed by team boss Toto Wolff. But then came a bombshell. The Force India team was sold mid-season to a consortium led by Lawrence Stroll, father of driver Lance Stroll. The new owners had their own plans, and those plans didn't include Esteban. Despite his strong performances, Ocon's seat was earmarked for the boss's son. Money and influence spoke louder than on-track results, leaving the young Frenchman in an agonizing limbo. There were no surprises, Ocon admitted later of that period. He saw the writing on the wall as soon as the takeover happened. The team he'd faithfully served was about to cut him loose, not for anything he did wrong, but for reasons that felt painfully out of his control. When the music stopped, Esteban Ocon was left without a drive for 2019, exiled from F1 at just 22. "It's hard to believe that I was in a great position 2 months ago and things have gone that way now. Oh no," he said, disappointment heavy in his voice. The final gut punch came at the season opener in Australia 2019. Ocon, now a reserve driver for Mercedes, traveled to the Melbourne Grand Prix hoping to do extensive testing. Instead, he was told he wouldn't be driving the car at all for the next 6 months. The realization hit him like a ton of bricks. "I remember leaving the Melbourne track, going into the rental car, and I cried in the parking lot," Ocon confessed of that low moment. This wasn't just a career setback. It felt like a personal betrayal by the sport he loved. The long road back to the grid. Ocon spent 2019 in the shadows as Mercedes reserve and simulator driver, absorbing knowledge from the dominant championship team. It was a humbling role, turning wrenches in the simulator at midnight, helping the race team from behind the scenes, but he threw himself into it. He watched and learned from Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas, determined to return stronger. "I did learn a lot anyway in 2019, joining Mercedes in a reserve role. I was part of the team's success, and that was special," he reflected. Even as he toiled in the simulator cave while others raced under the bright lights, Ocon refused to let his passion die. If anything, the year out made him hungrier. His patience paid off. In 2020, Esteban earned a comeback drive with Renault, a lifeline back onto the grid. The road was still bumpy. He had to shake off the rust and prove himself all over again. That season had its highlights, including his very first podium.
P2 Esteban! Woo! Fantastic!
A surprise second-place finish at the Hungarian Grand Prix in Bahrain. But it also had struggles, mechanical failures, and getting back up to F1's intense pace. In 2021, Renault became Alpine and partnered Ocon with a new teammate, the legendary Fernando Alonso, two-time world champion returning from retirement. It was a golden opportunity to learn from a master, but also a measuring stick that put pressure on Esteban. Many expected Alonso, with all his experience, to be the team leader and outshine the younger Frenchman. Ocon was determined to prove otherwise. Chaos at the Hungaroring, 1st of August 2021, Hungarian Grand Prix. The summer air in Budapest is thick and humid, and dark clouds loom overhead. On the grid, mechanics fit intermediate wet tires as a light drizzle coats the track. Tension crackles in the air. This is the last race before Formula One's summer break, and the championship battle between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen is white-hot. Most eyes are on those titans up front. Hardly anyone is thinking about the Alpine cars starting in the midfield. Esteban Ocon is set to launch from a decent P8 on the grid, but a win seems like a far-fetched dream against the dominant Mercedes and Red Bull machines ahead. Still, Esteban is focused. Anything can happen in racing, he reminds himself. Anything. Moments later, the lights go out and mayhem is unleashed. Turn 1 becomes pure chaos. It all starts when Mercedes' Valtteri Bottas misjudges his braking on the slippery asphalt and slams straight into the back of Lando Norris's McLaren. The McLaren is punted forward like a bowling ball into Max Verstappen's Red Bull, while Bottas's out-of-control car careens into Sergio Perez's Red Bull next. Debris flies everywhere. Carbon fiber shards, a busted front wing, the sickening crunch of suspensions shattering. Further around the turn, in the spray and panic, another disaster unfolds. Aston Martin's Lance Stroll, also arriving too fast, bounces over the curb and T-bones Charles Leclerc's Ferrari, taking them both out. In the blink of an eye, 5 cars are wrecked or badly damaged. Norris's car limps a few more corners but is terminal. Perez is out on the spot. Leclerc and Stroll are done. Bottas's Mercedes sits crippled at the runoff. Verstappen survives, but with his Red Bull maimed, half a barge board missing, floor damage, a wounded bull limping in the pack. When the dust settles and the surviving cars tiptoe through the debris field, an astonishing sight appears on the timing screens. Lewis Hamilton leads, having started, from pole and stayed clear by inches. But right behind him in second place is the blue Alpine of Esteban Ocon. The underdog has emerged from the chaos near the very front, riding a wave of right place, right time fortune. Over the team radio, Ocon's engineer can barely contain his disbelief and delight. Esteban, P2. Amazing job, mate. Esteban's heart is pounding. He's gone from P8 to P2 in a single corner. But any elation is tempered by focus. This race is only just beginning, and anything can still happen. The safety car is deployed and soon the race is red flagged to clear the track of debris. Cars file into the pit lane, mechanics rushing out to assess damage. In Alpine's garage, the team scrambles to check Ocon's car. Thankfully, it's intact. Esteban sits in the cockpit during the stoppage, adrenaline coursing. He takes a deep breath. In front of him, only Hamilton's Mercedes remains. A massive opportunity has landed in his lap. Keep your head. You can do this, he whispers to himself. Hamilton, realizing the colossal strategic error, has to pit for dry tires 1 lap later. As he peels into the pits and emerges in dead last, the true running order sorts out. And guess who is leading? Esteban Ocon in the Alpine now finds himself P1, with Sebastian Vettel's Aston Martin tight on his gearbox in P2. Over the radio, Ocon hears the words every driver dreams of. You are leading the Grand Prix. He can't afford even a grin at this point.
You just won the Hungarian Grand Prix. Well done, mate.
Vettel is already hounding him through the turns. But inside, the magnitude of it registers. From 8th on the grid in a midfield car, Ocon is now leading a Formula One race. The Frenchman steels himself. 70 laps at the Hungaroring are notoriously long and grueling, and only a few have passed. Stay calm, stay focused, he tells himself. A miracle opportunity is in his hands, but a hungry four-time world champion is right behind, eager to steal it away. A duel under pressure, Ocon versus Vettel. As the laps wind on, the Hungarian Grand Prix becomes a story of two men at the front, Esteban Ocon and Sebastian Vettel. In a twist of fate, the underdog and the veteran have been thrown into a race-long duel. Vettel, in the green Aston Martin, is a four-time world champion with 53 Grand Prix wins to his name, a master of relentless pressure. Ocon, leading a Grand Prix for the first time ever, has 0 F1 victories and a whole lot to prove. On paper, it's David versus Goliath in racing form, but Ocon rises to the challenge with astonishing composure. Lap after lap, he keeps his Alpine car wide and steady, hitting every apex, avoiding the slightest error as Vettel stalks him, waiting to pounce. The first and only round of pit stops approaches. It's a crucial moment, a chance for Aston Martin to undercut Alpine by pitting Vettel first for fresh tires. On lap 37, Vettel dives into the pits from just behind Ocon, aiming to leapfrog into the lead. A tense few seconds tick by, but the Aston Martin pit crew is slightly slow on the left rear tire. Vettel loses over a second stationary. The next lap, Alpine responds, calling Ocon en route from the lead. The Alpine crew delivers. 4 tires changed cleanly, and Esteban roars down the pit lane. As he exits, Vettel comes hammering down the main straight. They're side by side as Ocon emerges. The two cars hurtle toward the first corner neck and neck. Vettel tries the outside line. Ocon holds the inside and his position. Tires squeal as Esteban barely stays in front of Sebastian by a few meters. Heart-stopping seconds, but Ocon has defended his lead. "Great job! Still in front!" his engineer shouts. Ocon allows himself the tiniest exhale. One major hurdle cleared. He didn't lose first place in the pits, but Vettel is not deterred. He's right back on Ocon's tail with fresh rubber, determined to force a mistake. The final laps. Holding on to a miracle, laps 67, 68, 69. The final laps tick by, each one feeling like an eternity for Esteban Ocon. Vettel is still glued to his gearbox, less than a second behind, but the German just can't find a way through. As they round the last corner to start the final lap, Ocon has a little over 1 second gap, the largest it's been all race. Sebastian makes one last push, closing up through the middle sector. The crowd is on its feet. In the Alpine pit, mechanics, engineers, even the team principal are all pressed against the pit wall fence, hearts pounding. Many of them have never tasted victory either. Alpine hasn't won a race in years. It's deafeningly tense. Esteban Ocon, the boy who once lived in a caravan chasing a crazy dream, now has just a few corners to go to achieve the impossible. He keeps it tidy through the chicane, tiptoes around the track's slippery last sector where so many races have been lost in the past. Vettel is too far back to strike now. Barring a disaster, this is Ocon's. Coming out of the penultimate turn, Esteban's mind flashes with emotion. The struggle, the sacrifices, the doubt, the determination. But he forces it all aside for one more corner. He exits the final turn onto the main straight, floors the throttle, and hurtles toward the finish line. The checkered flag waves. Esteban Ocon wins the Hungarian Grand Prix. On the podium, as the French anthem plays for the winning driver and the British anthem for the winning team, Ocon stands atop the rostrum, eyes closed for a moment. He places a hand on his heart, feeling the weight of the winner's trophy in the other hand. Emotion overwhelms him. He thinks of his parents, Laurent and Sabrine, who sacrificed so much for this day. He wishes more than anything they could be here, but COVID travel restrictions meant they had to watch from home in France. "I wish everyone was here at this moment. Mom and Dad put so much effort into my career," he says later, his voice thick with feeling. In Normandy, one imagines the tears of joy in the Ocon household, the vindication of every sacrifice. Their boy has become a Formula One Grand Prix winner. Esteban lifts the trophy high, a broad smile lighting up his face. Below the podium, the Alpine crew, his crew, goes absolutely wild, cheering this unlikely hero. The world of Formula One too collectively beams at this fairy tale outcome. Social media explodes with congratulatory messages from fans and fellow drivers alike. In the space of one rainy afternoon, Esteban Ocon has gone from underdog to race winner, joining the elite club of Grand Prix victors. He's the first French driver to win a fact not lost on the patriotic Alpine team. It's also Alpine's first ever win as a brand, and the Enstone factory's first win since 2013. Truly a historic day all around. From a caravan to the top step, Esteban Ocon proved impossible is just a longer route. If this gave you chills, hit like, subscribe, and tap the bell. Drop a comment. Would Ocon have won without Alonso's defense?